Monday, April 6th, 2020. It is 10:02 by my watch here, and I'm calling this meeting in order. Before we begin, please note that all public meetings will be recorded. When a participant logs in via their computer or calls in to join the meeting, their name and their phone number will be visible to all participants. If you are providing a public comment, your audio will be muted and your video will be disabled. Persons wishing to be audience members to the meeting may do so anonymously. Anonymous participants, however, will not be recognized for public comments. Persons who seek to bypass the city's host controls will be dropped and blocked from the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation. Item number 2, roll call, please.
Councilmember Santinez,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Coops,
Here.
Councilmember Dutton,
Here.
Councilmember Hamada,
Here.
Mayor Garza.
Here. Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Item number 3, public comments. Mrs. Stewart.
With pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3A, the public may address the City Council on matters listed on the agenda. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the City Council.
Thank you, Mrs. Stewart. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature under the participants tab. Or if by telephone, press *9 to raise your hand. You will be called upon by the Deputy City Clerk in the order received. Your microphone will then be unmuted so that you can provide your comments. With that, do we have any member of the public that wishes to make any public comments at this point?
Mayor, this is Karen Avery. At this time, the clerk's office has not received any requests for public comments.
Great, thank you so much. All right, one last call. Anybody that wishes to make any public comments? Okay, hearing none, then let's move on to item 4A. Mrs. Stewart.
This is consideration of possible action to implement emergency policy and procedure promoting and recommending facial coverings of the mouth, nose, and in response to COVID-19 pandemic.
Great, thank you so much, Mrs. Stewart. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for the time this morning. It's not, calling for a special council meeting is not something that I think any of us do lightly, considering the amount of time and the amount of resources that it takes to put together a meeting like this. So I do appreciate everyone's indulgence. When we put this meeting together, and specifically this item at my request, in hindsight, situations were different. The circumstances were different. Since we put this meeting together and since this item was drafted, since then we've had numerous agencies that have since then echoed the intent of what the item before us is today. So I'm happy to see and hear on a personal level that I am not crazy for thinking that we should be wearing facial coverings here during this unprecedented time. But since then, of course, the federal CDC has come out on Friday and echoed what is in this measure before you. So in a lot of ways, it's duplicative. But nonetheless, I just, for matter of capturing in our record for the sake of history, when people later from now will be looking to see what we did in April of 2020, I think it's important that it's captured. So with that, everyone's had an opportunity to read the report. I'm not sure if there's any questions or comments about it. Okay, so hearing none. Yes,
Mayor,
please.
this is Sunny. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are we still gonna go ahead with the recommendation to City Council? That means direct the city manager to write an emergency service policy and procedure?
That's a good question. Mr. City Attorney, is that necessary any longer?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So as you have read in the news, there have been a number of counties that have actually implemented this as a mandatory requirement. The city of Los Angeles late last week came out with this as a recommendation. We anticipate that LA County Health Department will actually issue an order requiring this. The way that order applies to the city of Bellflower is that Bellflower designates the county health department as its own city health department. So any orders that are issued by LA County Health are applied within the city's jurisdiction, and we do enforce them. I believe that this was put onto the agenda, as the mayor indicated last week, because there was still a lot of back and forth, even amongst the the feds and the state about whether or not this was a good idea or not. And since that time, as with all of this COVID-19 pandemic and emergency, things have changed. So just in the past 36, 48 hours, things have already changed with regard to face coverings. My recommendation would simply be to direct the city manager to adopt emergency protocols and procedures if necessary in the absence of a mandate from the county health department. If the county health department, or rather when the county health department issues that order, then there's no need for us to enforce any local regulations.
So then to Councilmember Santinas' question, then we don't need to have this item formalized coming back to us during the regular city council meeting for next Monday, correct?
No, that's correct. We would, if it needed to be implemented, we would bring it back as part of the ratification that we do every 60 days. This is obviously within 60 days of the council ratifying the local emergency, but we just thought it was a good opportunity for the council to see what's been done since it declared an emergency and what the city manager has issued, and for the council to ratify those orders, which is why you see those orders on the consent calendar.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Any other questions, Councilmember Santinas?
Oh, no, I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other members of the city council that have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just a comment. You could add Long Beach to the list. Mayor Garcia just issued his guidance statement on face masks.
Is it a recommended?
It's a recommendation only.
Got it. Okay, great. Okay. And again, even a week ago when Jeff and the city attorney and us and me were having this conversation, it just seemed so out of reach, but it's here. So with that, before I ask for public comments, I just wanted to just a couple comments on my behalf, on my end. First of all, I'm not sure if many of you know, colleagues, but the county of Riverside this past Saturday just came out, and they actually they went from a recommended facial covering while out in public to mandatory. So to my knowledge, they're the first ones that have done this. I may be wrong. And I share that with everyone on this call just so that we're starting to see the trajectory. And I think depending on the amount of cases that come out and how much this pandemic continues to spread, there may be a point here in the not too distant future where it may be mandatory for all of us. So as the city attorney stated, we take our guidance from LA County Department of Public Health. We'll continue to do so. But there may be, considering on the trajectory of cases, unfortunate cases in our city, there may be a potential need to make it mandatory. I personally am not there yet, but I just wanted to share with you that there is a government agency that has made it mandatory, and they've actually empowered their law enforcement, in their case, the Sheriff's Department, really explicitly on what they can do, and it seems like they're enforcing it really strictly right now. So, but again, I don't think we're there yet. And then with that, I wanted to also mention that I think as part of this, in item 4A, the big element I think is going to be the education component of our residents. Obviously, we've asked our residents to stay home unless it's absolutely necessary. We've complied and echoed the county public health officer's request that people maintain that social physical distance of 6 feet. Obviously, the hygiene requirements, of hand washing and such. And I think, again, for clarity, as we in our city manager continues to promote this to our residents, I think there's going to be that necessary fourth element now of the facial coverings. And so I think it's really important that as we continue down this road of educating our residents and our public, that there be a clear outline that this is a fourth component, right? It's not in replacement of the other three, meaning that if you wear a facial covering, now means you're allowed to go out and do everything. That's not the case. This is not in lieu of, this is in addition to. So all the other measures that the county has recommended to us that we're abiding by, this is just the necessary fourth component now, which is the facial covering in public. And again, that's recommended. So so we can make that message clear in an upcoming city newsletter, in our social media, outreach, also to include our website. And then also, if you're okay, my colleagues are okay with also including a potential how to create a mask, or not, I'm sorry, not a mask, a facial covering. It doesn't have to be medical. In fact, we're actually asking the public that it not be medical. We want to leave those medical coverings, facial coverings, for our professionals that need them right now the most. But I know that there's plenty of how-to examples, not only in newspapers, but also on YouTube, where people can actually, there's material that they can use from within their home to create a facial covering. And so I just wanted to propose that if there's anything that staff finds that's easy for our public, our residents, to be able to use to produce their own, that would be ideal. So with that completes my comments before anything. But before I go to the public, considering the comments I've just made, any other comments from my colleagues on the City Council on what I said? Okay, so hearing none, I'll turn it over to the public. Any member of the public that wishes to make any comments regarding item 4A?
Mayor, I'm not seeing any raised hands for public comment.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Madam Deputy City Clerk. Okay, with that, then I will bring it back to any final comments of my colleagues on the City Council or any member of staff. Okay, so hearing none, is there anybody that would like to entertain a motion regarding item 4A? So hearing none, I'll make a motion myself. I'm not sure there's a second.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Santinez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Coops,
Aye.
Councilmember Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Mayor Garza.
Aye. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Madam City Clerk. Item number 5, consent calendar. Is there any member of the City Council that has a conflict or wishes to pull any items for separate consideration?
Mayor, this is Sunny. I'd like to pull 5A. I just have a couple of suggestions.
Okay. You know what? I'm actually gonna pull item 5B myself. So why don't we just, Mr. City Manager, if you don't mind, we'll just handle each one separately. How's that?
All right, very good.
Okay. All right, great. Item 5A, Councilmember Santinez.
Yes, I spoke with the city clerk. If you look at page 2 of the exhibit A, on the second bullet point on the top, it described how a public participant can call in and things like that. Since the situation is very dynamic right now, I'm suggesting to the city clerk that the public comment section of the second bullet point be stated to make sure that it says, as described in the agenda, to give the city clerk flexibility so that if Zoom is not used anymore, she doesn't have to come back to City Council and make a change in the policy. So just to make a blanket as described in the agenda. Because I think they've done a wonderful job in describing the process on how the public can participate. So I want to make sure that, I just want to make sure that the city clerk is given that flexibility.
Thank you. I think that's a great suggestion.
And also my second kind of minor edits in the policies. Typically you don't use a second person. So if we can avoid using the word you in your and make it a third person because it's a policy.
Also a good suggestion. We'll take care of that.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Other than that, it's a wonderful process that you have laid out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Santinez. Any other members of the City Council that have any comments regarding item 5A? Okay, hearing none. Actually, do I have a motion regarding item 5A?
So moved.
Second.
As amended, correct?
It's amended.
Yes. So I have a motion by Councilmember Santinez and a second by Councilmember Hamada. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Santinez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Coops,
Aye.
Councilmember Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Mayor Garza.
Aye. Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. And item 5B now. So on item 5B, again, like as Councilmember Santa Ynez, it's a great job. I know we're all adjusting here. The one thing that I had was a question for the city manager regarding Exhibit A. Do you foresee a need for us to include mitigation measures as part of the items outlined in page 7? Or is that something that you would recommend under an MOU once we undertake different agreements with different entities potentially?
I think the latter would cover it. I would want a specific mitigation spelled out, soup to nuts, without necessarily doing it in this emergency policy. But if we were to allow somebody else to use one of our sites out here, I'd want a specific language in there to make sure that we were covered.
Okay, great. Thank you so much then. That completes my questions on item 5B. I'm not sure if any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding item 5B.
Yes, Mayor, this is Sunny.
Yes, please.
I have a question on the certificate of occupancy, letter B, when it says that approvals will be temporary and will be temporary until ratified by such public agencies. So in the meantime, if it is just temporary, are we covered by insurance?
Yes, we could be. Yeah, we would be. What we're waiting for, and quite honestly, is we're waiting for the state of California to get out and do the elevator inspection, the usual hang up on these projects. We also want to make this area accessible to county health if they want to use it for a drive-up testing location. We've offered the site up for that. County health has expressed at least a little interest, and we're going to come out and examine the site. So what we were hoping to do was get this thing open for use as a drive center first, and then potentially open it later with knowing that the certification of the elevator is coming in. The last date we heard is April 22, a week out, but we want to open it sooner than that. So that's the only thing we're waiting for here. The answer is, will we be covered insurance-wise? Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions from any of my colleagues regarding item 5B? All right, so hearing none, then I will entertain a motion regarding item 5B.
So moved.
Coop, so move it.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Coops, Mayor Pro Tem Coops, and a second by Councilmember Santa Ynez. Are you okay, Councilmember?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, great. So I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Santa Ynez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Coops,
Aye.
Councilmember Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Mayor Garza.
Aye. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. So with that, are there any final questions or comments from anybody on staff or on our city council? Okay, hearing none, then we will adjourn this meeting to the regular city council meeting of Monday, April 13th. Great. It is 10:20 by my watch, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.